Hello guys, David Vos here again. Another beautiful day in Alabama. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. And this is number 4 in the series on Who Runs the World. Today we're going to find out so much more about who runs this world. And we're going to find out that Donald J. Trump is evidently making an alliance with 3 major cults that deny Jesus Christ and are sort of creating this great satanic movement to take over the world and institute evil and the denial of Jesus Christ. A lot of you people are Christians and you're trying to go out there and vote for Trump. Now I know you don't know and you're just, doing the best you can. But you're really going to have to put on your little, investigative glasses at this point and start paying attention and really thinking about what you're doing here. Because we certainly don't want to be hoodwinked and deceived and captivated by the great lie, the great liar. Yeah, he's a great liar. If I'm right, and now I think 90% sure, and that don't mean nothing, I'm just me, okay, and I ain't saying anything other than just my opinion, although, howbeit, I'm going to give you a little bit of evidence for this. I believe that Donald J. Trump is the big A, the man of S-I-N, the son of destruction, Apollyon. I was just talking to somebody today that was reminding me how Donald J. Trump's got this gold-plated toilet seat and everything in his, luxurious penthouse wherever, and all these big, huge, 100-story skyscrapers in every country in the world in the middle of their city. But anyway, he's got these Apollo statues and memorabilia and all this stuff and symbolism. He loves Apollo, evidently. As you guys know, that is the god of destruction, the Greek god of the darkness at the bottom of the wheel, that the Bible in the book of Revelation says is the Antichrist. And Trump seems to have an affinity for this. So I don't know. I didn't really do a lot of research into that. I have heard it before. But, today we're going to, kind of delve into this in a way that's literally, I think, going to blow your mind. We've been talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, the Mormons, Scientology, Christian Science, the Satanic Church, Hollywood, NASA, these kinds of things, CIA. This was all started by these German Bavarians that were brought over here by Charles Taze Russell. They created Hollywood. We were talking about that. I want to divert your attention just a tad bit here for a minute, guys. And let's just hone in on the great big son of destruction that is just about to sit down on his great big Apollo throne. I know a lot of you are going to click off right there because you don't like me talking about your Messiah that way. Friends, just please ignore the sarcasm just for a minute. Hey, this is really, we got to make this at least entertaining, guys. Okay, it'd get boring just reading something out of a dictionary here. I'm trying to explain something. It may use a little colorful language, and it may offend you just for a moment, but please, I'm going to get to a point here. Okay? So, let's talk about this man, because I'm telling you, he's been doing some stuff you've just been ignoring, and a few things you don't even know. Okay, before he left office, he instituted he's the father of the thing, right? Isn't that enough right there? And that's what it says in Revelation chapter 6, that the one riding on the white horse has got the toxin bow, and he's going to start this biological fair, war, whatever, And he's already done that, and guess what follows? Death and Hades. Okay? And that starts this whole tribulation thing. Wake up! Okay, so Trump's coming back. He's going to be president. And this book that was written in 1800, right, predictive programming, says this guy named Don's got a castle on Fifth Avenue who's going to be the last president. And, you know, he's going to have a son named Baron, and he's going to, you know, all this stuff, right? Yada, 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 yada. And then there's a guy named von Braun, right, brought over paper clip, you know, with the, you know, the nuclear scientist, whatever, right? And he writes a book. They all seem to like books, right? Like the Disney guy and all, you know, the L. Ron Hubbard and everything, all these novels and stuff. And he writes a book and says that some guy's going to come along named Elon and take the world to Mars. Interesting, because now we're seeing this in vivid living color on NBC. Disney, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's all coming to fruition. So, yeah, this man is about to be inaugurated, enthroned. They're going to roll out the red carpet, right? I'm sure he's not going to sit on an actual, you know, chair in the Oval Office. He's probably going to be held up over there at Mar-a-Lago, or maybe the Taj Mahal that he owns over there, or I don't know, maybe a casino in Atlantic City, you know, with a desk and people around him, and he's like, you're fired, go to the guillotine, you're out of here, get out of here, you're fired. You know, this is what you want, right? Bring back the economy, old Trump. Oh, strengthen our military. Cause World War III, please. And by the way, so as he's leaving office, he creates the quantum financial system, which is AI. And this is exactly what the Bible says. It says that the guy, the Apollyon, who comes out of the bottomless pit with the key, and up comes all the demons and all the lies and all the, you know, beheading because you didn't get the mark upon your hand or your forehead that Deuteronomy and Exodus says is the law of Moses. And so he says we're going to make an agreement, we're going to have world peace. Bible says they're going to declare peace and security, and then sudden destruction shall be upon them. He will enter into the temple and declare himself to be God. And he will only acknowledge the God of fortress, which Psalms 91 and 18 and these different places throughout Psalms and different places throughout the Bible says is the God Yahweh, the God of fortresses. So, I want to let you in on a little bit of what's going on that you probably have no clue is going on. I mean, it happened right before our eyes. There was a great big, 20th anniversary of 9/11, and the whole world and the United Nations came together, and they had this big old party, and, you know, Cheney and Bushes and the Pompeo and Trump, and everybody spoke at the, you know, at the big reunion for world peace. And guess who they had? Oh, Reverend Moon, the great wife, the mother, okay, the great mother of mankind from South Korea, who wants to, you know, whose husband, the Reverend, you know, Sun Myung Moon, declared himself God, and Jesus Christ was nothing but just a little peewee man. Even though he calls himself a Christian, he denies the Lord himself and declares himself to be God. Okay, well, they all want to be God, okay? But they can't all be God, so Trump's going to probably just come in and relieve us of that problem. But Trump's praising and extolling this whole unification religion. You know, the Moonies running around with bald heads at the airport with white robes, you know, controlling people's lives, telling them how to breathe, what to eat, what to wear, who to marry. Yeah, it is out of this world, the insanity that's going on, friends. It is so crazy. Well, I've got some things I'm going to show you. I'm going to read you a couple of things. I'm going to talk about a couple more things. And I think it's going to literally blow your minds. The information that we're going to cover today in this series. We're now at number 4. I think we might end up going on to 5, 6, and who knows where this could go, right? So, open the gate. You know, bring him out, and what are you going to give for him? Here, 1, 55, 55, 55, 55, 55, 54, 4, 45, 55, 55. You know, I don't know. Are we gonna auction off this world and sell Mother Earth to the highest bidder? Well, I think we already made our choices and we've already been sold down the river. Yeah. So, take a look at this. Take a small little look at this, friends.
Would you let your parents pick your spouse? How about your religious leader? For members of one controversial movement, marriage is part of their Messiah's grand vision. Dutiful couples pair off thousands at a time, and a bride shares her most intimate day with 2,000 other brides, while the all-night scramble for hair and makeup is just the beginning of the challenges ahead. 2,000 couples arriving at a stadium outside Seoul, South Korea for a mass wedding. Some have known each other for just months.
So who were these Moonies? Well, I want to read this just for a second here because this is interesting. It says that Trump spoke at a 9/11 Moonies conference. That's important, 9/11. It happened, I guess, 20-year anniversary. And wait till you see what that's all about. I mean, this is, people are tempted to just think this is just normal, that our president or former president is going to go over and talk to this cult leader who's a big billionaire and denies Jesus and all this other stuff, but yet they're Christian. Well, whatever. One of the top 5 big organizations that used to be talked about when I was a kid, Jehovah's Witnesses were the crazy cult, the Mormons, the Seventh-day Adventists, and Scientology, and the Christian Science, and the Moonies. The Moonies were a big one. The Baha, these kinds of things. Moonies were big because, for witnesses, they were kind of big because we saw them at the airport, with their little bald heads and their white robes. And we just thought, how crazy is this? People getting together in these big, huge organizations with big conventions where millions of people come out for a big event dressed in white, right? This has got to be a cult, right? But here we are, Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm 6 years old, handing out tracts at the airport, or down at the, 5th and, at the corner of Sub Street in San Francisco, whatever. and to the world, we were the crazy ones. It was crazy because you would turn on the TV and it's like, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're crazy. Well, actually, that's what we were told. That was the great illusion. Amongst Jehovah's Witnesses, we were told that the whole world thought we were cult. The whole world hated us. And some people did, but basically the world accepted us. We were mainstream, really, at least as time went on. But the Moonies were almost more mainstream because they owned the Washington Times, conservative newspaper, and they were involved in politics, and Bush would go and talk to them, and Cheney would go. And so, watch this. It says, there's this conference we're going to tell you about here in a minute. This is important, friends. Sun Myung Moon praising the controversial Unification Church. So, this is what they're saying, is that Trump was praising this church. This is, I guess, a picture of Sun Myung Moon and his wife, who very interestingly calls herself the mother, the great mother, the true mother. Now, Sun Myung Moon has died, I guess, in 2012. Is that some sort of synchronicity? The end of the world, 2012, the Mayan calendar? No, but just a little bit of a synchronicity there. So, it says on Saturday, former President Donald Trump spoke at a conference organized by Hak Ja Hang Moon, the widow of the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, who founded the Unification Church. Hak Ja Hang Moon. Interesting names. Moon founded the church in South Korea in 1954 before moving to the United States in 1971. And the church has been widely described as a cult. You think? Trump was a featured keynote speaker at the Rally of Hope event, which coincided with the 20th anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. Quote, I want to thank the Universal Peace Federation and in particular Dr. Hak Ja Hang Moon, a tremendous person, for her incredible work on behalf of peace all over the world, Trump said in his remarks. This is this Dr. Hak Ja Hang Moon is the true mother in this cult. And Reverend Moon was the Messiah. So he believed in Christianity. He's the Messiah, I guess, but he doesn't believe in Jesus. And this really gets weird. They never do they? Like Job's Witness, they never really believe Jesus is God. What they have achieved on the peninsula is just amazing, Trump says. In just a few decades, the inspiration they have caused for the entire planet is unbelievable. I congratulate you again and again. Wow. A lot of accolades there from Trump. Moon, who died, isn't that a weird name, Moon? Is that some word in Korean that just happens to look like the word we have for the moon? I don't know. Because there seems to be a lot of these individuals over there in Korea called Moon, right? I don't know if it's just some word they have. It says, who died in 2012, called himself a Messiah, and said he had been asked by Jesus Christ to continue Christ's work on earth. The controversial church, whose followers are colloquially referred to as Moonies, gained attention for arranging mass weddings between strangers. The group is still active around the world. So, this says, last time we discussed the history and basic beliefs of the Moonies, in this article we want to evaluate this popular cult as well as consider our calling with respect to an organization like the Moonies. Perhaps one of the most fundamental deviations of the Moonies is their teaching concerning God and concerning Jesus Christ. The Moonies deny the deity of Jesus Christ. Denying the deity of Christ, the Moonies also deny the truth of the Trinity. These two closely connected errors are sufficient reasons in themselves to classify the Moonies as a cult. But what I find interesting, they deny that Jesus Christ is God, but they believe in, they're Christians, right? But then they say that Mooney is a Messiah and that Mooney is deified. He's a God. They don't believe Jesus is a God, but Sun Myung Moon is a God. And his wife now is the Great Mother, but yet they don't believe in the Trinity. Okay, you see how really convoluted things can become. And that wouldn't be the biggest weird part about this, because, anybody could be weird, whatever, people crazy all over the world. But for this man to become elevated to such heights and, have world leaders at his fingertips and meeting with the presidents of the United States and with Kim Jong-un in North Korea and Japan. He spent time in prison, and he's also met with Japanese prime ministers and also South Korean leaders, or I should say South American leaders and things like this. So he has world acclaim. Of course, he has money, but, how much money does this man really have, right? Because, again, like Jehovah's Witnesses, they're supposed to only have $1.5 billion, but we find out they've got billions and billions and billions and own all the companies. And, they claim they're not involved in politics and don't believe in, and they claim the UN is the beast, right? The Jehovah's Witnesses. They claim the UN, United Nations, is the great beast of Revelation. And yet they are a member organization of the United Nations, which, if you think about it, means they are the beast by their own definition, or at least a member of this body, member politic of the beast. There's always these strange contradictions when you're looking at lies. Lies will always tell upon themselves, but nobody wants to really see the world in reality. They would rather live in a fantasy world and make up everything they see and interpret everything they see according to their own desires or and I mean, what desires? Well, the desire to not feel like you got to go to jail or you're different or you're weird, but no, you're one of the crowd. Everybody accepts you. You accept whatever teachings everyone else has and stuff like that. So they deny the truth of the Trinity, and these two closely connected errors are sufficient reason to call them a cult. Agreed. This is always one outstanding characteristic of a cult, the denial of the Godhead of Jesus. The Bible teaches that the Christian religion has always confessed that Jesus Christ is not only a man, but also very God, the Son of God in human flesh. This was the confession of Thomas, when he beheld the risen Christ, my Lord and my God. This was Jesus' own testimony concerning himself during his earthly ministry. To the Jews, he said, I and my Father are one. So anyway, I don't want to read all of this, but I think it's just interesting. I wanted to let you guys see what this group really is about. They have these huge gatherings. Now, it goes down here and it says, the Mooney teaching concerning Christ is not new. Denying the deity of Christ is one of the oldest heresies of the church. This was the error of the scribes and the Pharisees of Jesus' own day. This was the error of the heart of the Christological controversies in the first centuries of the New Testament church. Nor are the Moonies unique in this today. Other cults such as Jehovah's Witnesses, the Way International. I think the Way actually is a branch of Jehovah's Witnesses, by the way. There was groups that spun off Jehovah's Witnesses and Advent movements, and they called themselves the Way. And the Hare Krishna attack on the deity of Jesus Christ. No group can claim to be Christian in any sense of the word and deny the fundamental doctrine upon which Christianity depends, the deity of Jesus. And yet Trump stands up and praises the great true mother of the Mooney, right? The great one third of the great divine deity of Sun Myung Moon and his, queen goddess, the true mother, whoever this lady is. It's just crazy. And for those of you who think that Trump's a wonderful man, how can you follow people that not only deny Jesus Christ? You see that now right there, I think people are going to say, wait a minute, maybe Trump doesn't deny Jesus. He's just trying to be nice. Really? Do you really need to go and meet with these guys? And why on the 20th anniversary of 9/11? And what is this Washington Times being owned by this company? And what is he praising this group so much for? Well, it's because there's coming a one world government, a one world religion. And there are certain groups that were all started by individuals that are in this secret order called the Masonic Brotherhood and the Illuminati. And they're run by higher ups, as we've been talking about. We've gone into all of that. But they're running the world. And they run the world with organizations. But not every organization can be exactly the same. So they have Satanist churches. They created, with Anton LaVey, they created the Church of Satan. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses had their niche, and the Mormons and so forth. But what are you going to do about all the people in China and Korea and Japan and all that stuff? Well, you got to have other religions. Hare Krishna. You got to have Baha'i, right? You got to have Moonies. So a large number of individuals in South Korea really respect and love this man and kind of like this organization. But even if they're not converted Moonies, that doesn't mean that they haven't won the battle, the Moonies, in taking and deteriorating the belief in Jesus Christ as the divine being, as our Savior. So that was the point. That was what they needed these people to do. And by the way, their founder is a dictator who tells them all what to do and tells them who to marry and what to wear and how to look and wear robes and conformity and unity, unification. What does unification mean? Unity as in soldiers, do what you're told. And don't believe that Jesus was Christ, because you see, they're bringing in a one world government where everyone will be required to worship government. And by the way, this man, this Reverend Moon, definitely worshipped government. He thought, government was so important because he believed in democracy. And they were terribly against communism. You see, this is just a ploy, of course. They set communism up to take down a large part of the world and destroy Christianity. And then prop up individuals that claim communists is so bad and we're Christians, but they're not real Christians. They don't believe in Jesus. What kind of insanity and weird kind of convoluted garbage is this? So, anyway, I don't think I'm going to read any more about that, but I do want to show you this. Now, take a look at this. Global Summit. A global summit ends with 1 million people rally of hope and renewed calls for unity on the Korean Peninsula. This is what's interesting. It was held basically as a unification church event that the whole world comes and speaks at. And remember, this woman gets up there and she's the true mother, but she doesn't believe in Mary Magdalene or Jesus Christ. And Trump's there and all these world leaders. And it says Washington, D.C., February 14th, 2022. Global Summit ends with 1 million rally. Blah, blah. The World Summit 2022, Korean Peninsula, ended its third day with global encouragement, practical advice, and prayers for renewed efforts. So it says, thank you, said Dr. Hak Jang Hang Moon, that's the true mother, who's deified, and they worship her, co-founder of the Universal Peace Federation. In other words, the Moonies, that cult, and the host of the World Summit 2022. Host? This deified woman that belongs to this cult? I mean, what if Jehovah's Witnesses were the ones, that were hosting the World Summit for Peace? What if it was the Mormons? What if it was the Scientology or whatever? I mean, why? No one batted an eyelash. How do you say that? No one batted? I don't even know if you can bat an eyelash that way. But on February 11th through 13th, the summit was sponsored by the the UPF. That's the Unification Church. And the royal government of Cambodia. And the Cambodia Prime Minister Samdech Hun Sen. And H.E. Ban Ki-moon, former Secretary General of the United Nations. Huh? So this Moon guy was the Secretary of the Secretary General of the United Nations? Served as summit co-chairs? Okay, my head's spinning here. Maybe I don't understand. Let's read a little further, because I don't really understand what's going on here. The summit drew participants from some 160 nations. Remember how we said Jehovah's Witnesses are a member of the United Nations? They all are, friends. This is their religion. Including 157 nations with diplomatic ties to one or both of the Koreas. Nigeria, for instance. Remember how you get these phone calls or some spam on your text message from Nigeria, and they're trying to get money out of you? Right? Okay. Well, I think this is just as big a scam as that, but these guys have gone worldwide. For instance, has enjoyed cordial relations with both Koreas in trade, commerce, education, culture exchange, and technology transfer, said the Nigerian president. Remember how Trump was so cozy with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, or Il, or whatever it was? I can't ever remember these guys and what their names are, but there's two of them. His father was Il or Un or something, who knows. And so it says the Muhammadu Buhari, I can't pronounce these words. And so when it comes to what needs to be done to ensure a lasting peace on the peninsula, we are happy to be part of it, he said. In her address, Dr. Moon, this is the true mother, okay, they're not saying it that way in this article, but, she's deified. It's like, you walk up to her and you bow, right? And she's the Queen Mother. So she explained that building one family under God. Do you guys really want to be part of this one family under their God that doesn't believe in Jesus Christ, with her as the great mother and Trump getting down groveling at this woman? They're holding this great event and they're part of the they're chairing the United Nations, council seat. Come on, something's up here. So they want to bring about a world filled with freedom and equality and peace. I don't think so. I think this is a big hoax. And I think this is probably kind of like a number 4 in the series about who runs the world, friends. As tears filled her eyes. I'm sure they were real tears, you know. She asked the citizens of the North and South Korea, North! The people in North Korea are watching this too? I didn't know they even were allowed to watch TV. To join with her and unite as brothers and sisters. Only then can we achieve true unification on the Korean Peninsula, she said, adding that when the people of the world become sons and daughters of God, well, she's the true mother, and Mr. Reverend Moon was the father, a deity, then you're literally going to be children of the great Mother, Father, Trinity that they have installed in place of our Father in heaven and the Divine Virgin Mother Mary. And Trump's there, and Bush's were there, and we'll find out who else was there, and they're heading the United Nations, and we're, creating a one world unification religion. So we can achieve world peace. In his keynote address, Mr. Ban lamented that despite our ardent aspirations and various efforts, we've not been able to make a lasting breakthrough on the peninsula, noting that the recent spate of missile tests by North Korea, he urged the UN to implement its enacted sanctions while taking steps to help North Korean leaders return to the dialogue table. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Anyway. So then it says, in his remarks, the United States President Donald J. Trump said that when he took office, the experts around him viewed the Korean situation as absolutely hopeless. He said he rejected that outlook and instead worked with allies, Mr. Abe of Japan and South Korean President Moon Jae-in, to craft a bold new strategy, and led to him meeting 3 times with North Korean Chairman Kim Jong-un and becoming the first U.S. president to stand on North Korean soil. Have you guys been told any of this, that there was this effort of unification between North and South Korea, headed up by a church that was a cult, and they worshiped some guy, and Trump was getting meetings with North Korean leaders because he was in alliance with this great unification church? I didn't know this. Together we have planted seeds of peace and cooperations, and now we must let them bloom and grow just like a giant tree. To waste that chance would be a profound tragedy, Mr. Trump said. He added that countless people of goodwill around the world are working, striving, and praying for a Korea that is safe, prosperous, flourishing, united, and finally at peace. Then we have personal connections are so important to building trust, said Mike Pompeo. Remember we were talking about this Numa Pompilius, who was an ancestor of Pompey, who got his head cut off back in the Rome. Mike Pompeo is one of the royal bloodlines, friends. Very high up. Don't you doubt it. Mike Pompeo, the United States Secretary of State, who recalled some of the ups and downs of the diplomatic meetings with the North Koreans in his remarks. Then we've got H.E. Jose Manuel Barroso, European Commission President. He spoke about peace and so forth. And Mike Pence, the Vice President, spoke. I mean, it's just crazy what's going on here. We've got this Federico Franco, president of Paraguay, who spoke. I mean, this is the World Summit. Paula White Cain? What kind of name is that? A pastor. Paula White. She's this, this is the Trump's personal pastor. Some kind of attractive woman that wears dresses that you can see her body like it's some sort of a stretch pantsuit or something, right? And she's been, I believe, I could be wrong, and I'm gonna go out on a limb, but I believe this is the same woman who was caught having an affair with Benny Hinn, Pastor Benny Hinn, and Paula White's adultery. Oh, adultery, right? Okay, so yeah, it's real. Yeah, don't look like she'd be the type of woman to be interested in a guy like that. Maybe she just wanted a big position as an evangelical preacher. I don't know. I ain't going to say one way or another. But it does say that even pastors don't practice what they preach, it seems. Evangelist Benny Hinn recently admitted at a crusade in 2010 in Oakland, California, to having a friendship with fellow minister Paula White while he's still married after a tabloid pictured them holding hands in Rome. In Rome? On July 13th, but the well-known healing minister says the relationship is over. Well, yeah, she's already got her evangelical position and now she's the president's pastor, and so, yeah. Don't need that buffoonery, humbuggery, chicanery, deception anymore. It served its purpose, so it's over, and a friendship did develop, Hinn said of White in Oakland on July 30th. Hear this: no immorality whatsoever. Those people out there are making it sound like we had an affair, and that's a lie. Oh, Hinn invited his daughters, so they had a friendship, and he's apologizing for it, and now she's a big evangelical preacher, because remember, Benny Hinn was very powerful and gave her that position, but there wasn't anything going on, guys. And now she's cozying up to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. His personal pastor. And, of course, don't forget that her entire religion is a hoax. They claim they heal people. Have you ever watched the Benny Hinn show? He's like, in the name of Jesus, and these people be falling down and shaking, and, this whole thing is a big hoax, guys. You talk about Moonies. So it says Hinn invited his daughters, Natasha and Elisha, on stage in Oakland and asked the crowd to pray for him, his estranged wife. I wonder why his wife is estranged. Susan, and their 4 children. Probably didn't say anything because she didn't want to lose her fortune. Didn't want to expose the old pedophile. He said he and his wife had problems in their marriage for years and could no longer exist in the same house. So Hinn's wife, Suzanne, filed for divorce in February. Anyway, what in the heavens is going on in the world today? I mean, in that people would believe the chicanery, or whatever you call this insanity, this deception that's going on. I have no idea. Anyway, it's pretty obvious that, in the picture they're holding hands. I don't think friends normally do that kind of thing. Some young woman walking around with Benny Hinn holding hands like lovers. And that's how she become a big speaker, a religious, guru of sorts to the conservative movement. She weaseled her way in there, sleeping with Benny Hinn. That's how she got in. Prostituting her body out to some religious conservative evangelical, pretending he was healing people and taking people's money and making another big empire over here. So you got the Unification Church and, St. Reverend Moon over there in Korea, and we got this other big, church run by, what's this guy, Oral Roberts, who makes Oral Roberts University, says that God told him to build this big skyscraper in Tulsa, Oklahoma, as a college. They make these university college where they train people to become ministers. What are they doing? It's a business. They're making a lot of money. Have you ever seen this one guy that looks like Satan? And what is this guy's name? Kenneth Copeland, right? Benny Hinn and this lady, Paula White. But it's interesting, her name is Cain. I just find that very synchronistic. Okay, she's completely, I don't know what word to use. She's a fraud. And Trump can't be that stupid, or could he be, to think that Reverend Moon and the great true mother of the Unification Church, of the Moonies, all wearing their white and their bald heads standing at the, the airport, that this somehow would be a great way to sponsor world unification. And by the way, bring along your pastor who slept with Benny Hinn and is a big fraud. Okay, enough of that. I just, it's like I could just say it over and over and over again, this stuff, and wonder if anybody's even listening. So Paula White, I have even suspected that maybe they have an affair too. That maybe Paula White's got an affair with Trump, because why would Trump choose her? I mean, you choose any of these guys. Maybe Billy Graham's son or somebody else that would be more respectable, or appear to be more respectable anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if they, turned him down. But anyway, others linked unification in Korea to peace building elsewhere in the world. So we've got Jimmy Morales, Guatemalan president. We've got, come on, these are just people coming out of the woodwork. Gloria Arroyo of the Philippines president. The Dr. Young Ho. Oh, the Young Ho. Oh my goodness, a Young Ho spoke at the World Summit in 2022 Executive Committee. Oh, I'm just, my mind's swimming in total disbelief and synchronicities and insanity here. Expert Jim Rogers, I'm sure he was an expert on what? I don't know what he was an expert on, but he outlined an exciting future for the Asia-Pacific region, especially once Korea's 38th parallel no longer blocks travel and commerce. That's all we need is commerce, capitalism. Oh, buddy. That's because, it would be good for them because they're all billionaires, right? Yeah, they don't care if they deify themselves. I mean, Trump's doing the same thing. He's declared himself the Messiah now. Oh, no, he didn't, David. That's a lie. Well, no, it's true. He actually said those words. And the state of Israel has declared him the Messiah. I know you don't believe me, but look it up. He's on the coin, and the word Messiah is there. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. All I know is something weird's going on, and it don't seem like anybody cares. Or it has a brain big enough to really even understand what's going on. So, anyway, we could go on and on. It seems like a lot of people, Richard Cheney, Dan Quayle, Stephen Harper, Canadian Prime Minister Mahinda Rapat. I mean, I don't even want to read all these goons. These are world leaders? To me, they're just a bunch of puppets and idiotic, stupid. I don't even want. Okay, enough of that. So, take a look at this picture, and it's hard to find pictures like this on the internet. They've you can look this up on Google, and it's hard to. I mean, it was a long event, and there's lots of footage, and I couldn't, just film the whole thing. But this is one snapshot. This is this place on the stage where, if you notice, there are 7 candles. The Bible talks to the 7 candlesticks, and we talked about the 7 flames in the movie The 100. And if you look above the Rainbow Coalition, right? Let's unite all the transgenders and the whatever around the world. And the Nazis, of course, because if you notice that in the rainbow above, there are 18 symbols. Why 18? Well, because that's only half a circle, 180 degrees. So if it went all the way around, it'd be 360 degrees, and so there'd be 36 symbols. But there isn't. There's only 18. So the first one on the right is a... what do I have to say what it is? For those who can see the screen here, I don't know if you're watching it on a phone or on your television or whatever, but that is a symbol and a half. And this is what was being displayed, the unity. And the first one is the symbol of the German Bavarians. Okay, let's put it that way. That's the very first symbol. Now, why would it be the first one? Because it's if you notice, if you were to imagine that rainbow all the way around in a circle, then you would see that is a astrological chart. And you say, well, why isn't it broke up into 12? Well, because it is. But there are 3 deacons in every house. You see, so 6 times 3 is 18. So the first 3 symbols on the right are one house. The next 3 symbols, another house. So that's how that worked. Those are the deacons. Now, the first one there on the right would be at the fall equinox. So that's the great, celebration. And as you're starting to go down to the bottom of the wheel, and that's where, as we've said, where you come down out of Egypt and you're going down and you're going through the swamps and you go through the Red Sea, and we're coming out of bondage we're going through Babylon. So if you take a look at those symbols, you'll also see a cross on the left side. You'll see a moon and the sun. You'll see the Star of David and all these, weird symbols. One looks very, what would you say, Japanese. Another one looks kind of Korean. It appears to be a lot of different symbols that, remember, these are the 12 tribes. So they're admitting that the world is the tribe. Okay, or at least for a moment they're admitting that. Don't think that they're not going to go back and revert to their original belief system that it was the Great White Brotherhood, right? The Aryan race, which they claim. And it's not true. Aryan just means all man. That's a word, an Indo-European, an Aryan person is all the races of the world. Black, yellow, white, green. But the Germans interpreted that to mean only the Caucasian white individuals. And you guys, it's not all white people. It's just this one freaking family that thinks they're deity. And they're going to gather the great Fatherland and the tribes and the White Brotherhood and all of this. This is their evil plan. So if you people over there in Japan and Korea and in Africa and China, wherever, you think somehow this unity is going to get in place and we're all going to be happy, and you're going to sign the Abrahamic covenant, which Trump is putting into place, and the Noahide laws, which, says you can only worship the one true deity, which is Yahweh, and anyone who worships anyone else will be beheaded. Then you've got another thing coming. And see, think about it. That's probably why they're promoting religions like the Unification Church that want unity, but not under Jesus Christ. They don't believe in Jesus Christ. Take a look at that. There are 7 what looks to be people praying in robes. I know it's very small. But those 7 individuals, I don't know who they are. I didn't do a bunch of research to find out what was going on that day. But I guarantee that is a religious ceremony going on there with religious connotations. And it ain't the worship of Jesus and Mother Mary. This is not Christian. You say, well, Dave, you can't have everything. You Christians, you think you have everything, and everybody's got to bow to your deity. You know what? We want love. That's what we want. Unity in love. Because our deity is love. Okay? Grace. He happens to be the true one. Now, these liars, they talk about unification, but never really talk about love. Because Jesus, the child of the divine one who died for your sins and gave you eternal life, is not really deity. But you see, you're going to get saved through some guy named Charles Taze Russell, or, Anton LaVey, or Mr. Reverend Moon. That's the hoax. That's the weird conspiracy that not one soul in the world today seems to be able to figure out, because they've sucked your brains right out of your cranium watching this stupid crap on television. So much so that you can see that picture and not think there's anything peculiar about the fact that right there, as you're going down at the bottom of the wheel, on the side, just as you're going down over the horizon, is the Bavarian symbol for the brotherhood of the, of the children of whatever. The devil is going to reign. And will mass murder the world and genocide and all this. And somehow this is peace. This is unity. This is a celebration of unity. As we bring back the symbol of genocide. Friends, I hope you can understand what I'm saying here. I hope you can see that something's very, very wrong. Anywho, I am going to try and draw this now to a conclusion. We're at about 50 minutes, 49, almost 50 minutes in, so we're going to have to wind this down. And in conclusion, I just want to say, friends, we're here. I guarantee it. This is it. The end of the world has arrived. The great deception is upon us. World War III is right now beginning. It's begun. I believe some terrible warfare is about to break out. Perhaps, I do believe within a short period of time, whether it's going to be recently, whether it's going to be soon here or weeks or months from now, but I do believe we will have nuclear war. I do believe we will have great famine that will be able to see, or will not want to see, but we'll see right here in the United States. We'll see it in Australia, Canada, Britain. I do have a terrible feeling in my gut that London and Britain will be underwater. Look, who am I? Who am I? Some guy here, little Davy Vos, sitting here in my cabin in Alabama. But I have to tell you this because I feel it weighing upon my heart. You can take my advice or not. But I think if you're in Britain, you should leave. I think that there is a strong possibility, or even if it's just a small possibility, I would leave. Putin is threatening your country. And, I know a lot of you can't leave. You don't have the ability to do so. Well, make sure you have a boat then. And make sure that, I don't know what to say. But if you can get out of there, I would leave. And I know that's a tall order for most people. And I don't know what else to say. But if you can't, then here's what I would suggest. I suggest that you get on your knees and pray and find the Lord. And trust in the Lord. The Lord will deliver you. But you must give your heart and your soul to the Lord, because the devil is no good. And I would say that if you live in the country of Israel, I'm telling you, you need to get out. And this is not my opinion. This is the opinion of Jesus Christ. Because he said, when you see these things, let those who are in Judea, in that country that used to be called Judea, today they call it Israel. He said, when you see that country and that city surrounded by armies, flee out of there and don't look back. Now, you can choose to ignore that. You can say, well, that's not written for our day. You can do whatever you feel in your heart is right. And I know that anyone who loves the Lord and sincere, the Lord will love your soul and he will take you to heaven. But we're going to have a war. And I don't think it's safe in certain areas in this world right now. Now, we don't know, where every earthquake's going to hit and where every bomb's going to land and where, But what we do know is it's a very likely possibility that very soon the entire country of Britain could be at war. And worse, or possibly worse. And I do believe that within the next few weeks, months, or a year or two, or something like that, real close to that, I believe they are planning on literally, well, by the end of this, whenever this winds down, I do believe Israel will be wiped off the face of the map. I'm not asking for that. I'm not advocating that. I'm not hoping for that. I don't want any war anywhere at any time. I'm only saying that if there is anybody over there that values the opinion of the scriptures, Matthew 24 and Luke 21, that you should leave there now. And if that's not good enough for you, if secular opinions are better in your mind, then just listen to the newspaper. Just take a little listen to the news on CNN or Fox News. Now, I know a lot of you don't have the money to get out of there. Maybe if you got a car, you can drive down, to the border and you can cross over into Jordan. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you could walk out of there. I'm telling you, leave if you want to, if you feel compelled, if you feel the Holy Spirit tugging at you. I'm just letting you know my feelings on the matter. And, other than that, I believe we should get out of Babylon wherever we live, wherever we are. Do not be setting your heart on your money in the bank or in your home or your luxury cars or anything. Just get you a little place where you can legally park that's out of the city. Make sure you got some seeds, some dry food stored away. Maybe a weapon to go hunting and, foraging, a fishing pole. And start telling your family immediately what's going on and warn them. And tell them the good news of the gospel. And here is the number one thing that I am recommending everyone to do at this moment and over the next few weeks. Please start praying and get on your knees or go into your closet or go into the woods, into a lonely place where you can be alone, and you start talking to the Lord and pouring forth from your heart your needs and your concerns, and ask the Lord to show you what to do and to give you the testimony of Jesus Christ, because you're going to need it. You're going to need to be strong in faith. Put on your shield of faith and put your helmet of salvation on, and make sure you've got the sword of the Spirit, because we're going to have a spiritual battle, and it's going to get really, really bad, friends. But I don't want you to be worried or to be afraid, because Jesus said not to be afraid. Now, those who know Jesus will not be afraid, because Jesus said, not one hair of your head will be harmed, but by your patience you'll gain your soul. So, I love you guys, and I really care and hope and pray that all of you will be there and that we'll cross that line together. And I know that many of you will be there, and I know eventually we're all going to go home and be with the Lord, and we'll see you then. In the meantime, until tomorrow, have a good one.